Dear friends, welcome back to Data Analytics Talks. I would like to put together some important feature from SQL Server in our channel. In my last video, I was referring to some of the SQL Server transformations. I hope you got a opportunity to listen to that. If not, please check out the video on SQL Server transformation. Today, I would like to focus or highlight SQL Cursors. What's a cursor? The children might say this, you have the mouse cursor. I'm not talking about mouse cursor today. I'm sure maybe the intermediate developers or the advanced developers aware of SQL Cursor. Maybe the beginners, they are yet to know about it. It's an important feature. Where am I using cursor? I have the stored procedure, I have the views. Of course, if you are using a stored procedure, you can very well use a cursor. So now we need to understand when to use cursor, why to use cursor, why we should go for cursor. Now, cursor is an opportunity, it's a way you can iterate records one by one in a data set. I have an employee list with 100 records. I want to select records one by one and maybe I want to print them. Or I have a survey result of hundreds of records. I have to score them according to some business logic. So maybe then you may ask, why don't you do this bulk way? For some scenarios, the bulk updation may not work. So you'll have to take one by one. For that, Microsoft has shared you with this feature called cursor. The cursor is a feature where you can select records from a data set. Simply you can use select star from table name. Then you can have a cursor variable and put that into that buffer. Then you fetch one by one. Then you see the logic. Then you apply your business logic. Then you move on and close it. Then you can release the cursor. And there is so much debate about the cursor. It is not efficient. You have to find alternative ways. But you have to understand like there is a cursor. In some scenarios, you have to use the cursor only. So in this video, I would like to show you how can you implement a cursor and what are the building blocks of a cursor. I will be using the same AdventureWorks 2019 database. I will show you a simple cursor today. Okay, welcome back. So I have used AdventureWorks 2019. So basically a little bit of understanding. So in SQL, looping through table rows to apply logic can be done using cursor. That's what already I explained. We are using cursor to loop through a table and apply some logic. A cursor in a database object allows you to iterate through the rows of a result set one at a time and perform operations each row. But for large data sets, this will be very resource intensive. So you have to be very careful using cursor. So set-based operations are generally preferred in SQL Server. Okay, and let me show you how to declare a cursor. So first of all, we will have to have a cursor. Cursor is basically a container. Okay, so the syntax to declare a cursor is declare name of the cursor, then the keyword is cursor for, and you have to select which are the fields from the table. So I am selecting product ID and list price from the table called production.product, where list price greater than 1000. So basically, this is a symbol select statement. If you look at symbol select statement, from here, it is a symbol select statement. So the output of this select statement is being stored in a cursor called product cursor. Okay, product cursor. Then what happens? Then we can open the product cursor. So first of all, you have to declare the cursor, open the cursor. Then we need to get fetch the first record. That means fetch next from product cursor into product ID and list price. So you can see that these are two variables. This is already declared outside my cursor. That is a declare product ID as integer, declare list price as decimal. So if you look at here, you are declaring variables as many number as the fields you select from the table. So if you're selecting some product name, you should have one more variable called product name, product ID, product name, list price. And we should have a cursor. A cursor, once you have created the cursor, you have to open the cursor. Then it is basically you need to take the next record from the data set. So this is fetch next. Okay. Then you have a while loop. So once you have while loop, you loop through the records. So if the fetch status is 0, okay, while fetch status 0, so as long as there is a record, the fetch status will be greater than 0. Okay, so this loop keeps on incrementing. Like, see here, again, like basically we have one more fetch next within this while loop. So we are updating the production.product, okay, setting the list price into 0.9, okay, and where the product ID equal to product ID, okay. So basically this is, then you have to close the cursor, then deallocate the cursor. So this is a simple cursor, okay, doesn't make much sense, but to understand what is a cursor, I think this is very useful. So for example, if you have a data set, you want to iterate through each record, what are you going to do? You have to create a cursor, you have to have a select statement, then you have to, in the select statement, you have to select the fields, as many number of the fields you have to select, then you have to declare those variables, then you have to open the cursor, fetch the data from the cursor into the variables, then you may have to do a while loop while the status is greater than 0. Then in the loop you have to fetch it again, okay. Then finally, once you've done, you have to close the product cursor and deallocate the product cursor. So let me just show you, execute this and show you how this is going to work for you. Okay, so what I will do is, let me just do the select query. From here we have the select product ID from where greater than 0. Let me just show the output for you. Let me put the select. I have the query. Let me execute it. You can see the price. This price is 128835. 128835, right? 128835. Okay, let me just execute this cursor. The rows are updated. Let me just execute my previous query. So you see 128835 now change it to 1159515. All these numbers are changing, right? Yeah, but the problem is, like, this is symbol cursor and you are only doing a one symbol operation like list price into 0.9. Okay, this price, this can even do the, this can even be done through a set operation. You can simply product equal to list price into 0.9, and the same thing can work out here, right? So therefore, set-based approach is typically faster and more efficient than using cursor, because it processes all the rows in a single operation rather than one by one. So always consider whether a set-based solution is possible before resorting to a cursor. And that's the reason it is not recommended, because of the performance implication. So it may be processing one at a time rather than operating on a set of records. The SQL is inherently a set based, and set based operations are usually more efficient and should be preferred whenever possible. So you may ask me, Biju, okay, then which are the scenarios we should go for cursor? And which are the scenarios the cursors are appropriate or necessary? See, when we need a complex row by row processing, some sequential dependency exists, maybe maintaining state, calling stored procedure or external function, dynamic SQL execution, cursor variables, so then administrative task. So even in these cases, it's important to assess whether the task at handy truly requires a cursor. Okay. Often a creative set-based solution can be found to avoid this resource intensive activity. So in this example, let me show you, like we have a sales order with the following columns: order ID, customer ID, order date, and status. So you want to send an email to each customer with an order that has been shipped, but you can only send one email per minute due to the external API limitation. This case where you might use a cursor to process each row individually. So what have we done? We have declared variables for order ID, customer ID, order date, status, and we have declared a ship order cursor, and we have a select statement: order ID, customer ID, order date, status from sales order where shipped equal to true. Then we are opening the cursor, shipped order cursor. First of all, you have to fetch the status from the cursor, and we have a while loop. And the while loop, we are setting a delay for 1 minute, and we are sending an email. We are sending an email. Okay. Then in the while loop, of course, we need to fetch the records after processing. Okay. Then the loop will keep running until it is complete. Then you have to close the cursor and delocate the cursor. Okay, I hope this is now very clear. So if you have found this video useful, please share your comments and ask me more questions so that I can prepare more videos around SQL Server. Thank you.